This is a print and play map for Steam-East Sussex, available on BoardGameGeek. We play this as a play-by-forum game. The main rule changes here are that there are two cities in the south part of the map, southeast and southwest. There's New Haven and Southwick. Both of these get two random cubes at the beginning of the game, one of which sets the demand color and one sets the supply color, meaning that when a cube of the demand color ends up delivered to that city, we place a new cube of the supply color into that city. Gatwick in the north accepts cubes of two colors. The colors are the same as the two southern cities' demand colors. So in this case, Gatwick accepts both blue and yellow cubes. We've just gone through the setup for the 4-player game, and now we're going to start turn 1. The other rule change is that city growth is modified. It can either do the normal city growth action, or you can take those two cubes from the supply area and replace any two cubes on one of those special southern cities, changing the supply and demand colors. We had some pretty high bids for the initial turn order action, but then we got going. Some of us might have paid more than we really wanted. I had originally hoped to build from one special city to another special city, from the southwest to the southeast, but I don't think that was going to happen. I started to get cut off pretty early here. We are moving our goods now. And now this is the end of turn. Turn 2 is beginning here, and we have our actions chosen. Locomotive went to player 3, pretty darn cheap. And then we continue to build. Here's where I really start to get cut off from my original plans to connect Southwick and New Haven. So instead, I'm going to build and twiddle around here on the southwestern part of the board and largely get stuck on the western side of the map. Mo continues to have the entire northeast all to himself. And now we're moving our goods, still relatively short deliveries, and I've still been unable to get the locomotive action. That's going to continue for quite some time, unfortunately. And we're coming up on the end of turn 2 now. In turn 3, we have some action selection. I take Urbanize just to try to get some cubes and targets for myself. Mo continues to build out on the eastern side of the map, while the rest of us sort of get clogged and congested in the center. Stuck over on the west side, I have to build up towards that red city, while Eric finally makes some inroads towards Mo's builds. Jonathan continues building that nice long connection to New Haven that I had hoped to build myself, but of course got cut off from. And now we're delivering our goods. Some longer deliveries here. I am finally using the supply-demand thing and creating some red cubes for myself for later on. The others seem to have a lot of cubes to deliver, not only in the towns, but also in the cities that they're connecting to. And here we have the end of this turn. In turn 4, I choose first to move, if only to get an early turn order in turn 5, so I could finally choose a decent action. And here we're building. Mo's starting to get a nice loop for himself. Eric is competing now, and I'm just still twiddling over here, trying to make some loops to try to make some slightly longer length deliveries. Here we're moving. Some nice long deliveries for most people. I keep trying to make some more red cubes so I can continue to have deliveries later on. And here we are at the end of turn 4 after end of turn cleanup, and I'm nicely positioned to finally choose the locomotive action. So turn 5, I chose Loco to bump myself up, and then we are building some more links. Jonathan has a whole bunch of little links over there in the southeastern corner of the map, which is a nice little setup, little loops, lots of cubes, and a nice long connection with not too many color cities in the way. Really nicely set up. Here we're moving goods. Still trying to use those red cubes that I'm generating in the southwestern corner. Some nice long deliveries for most everybody. Eric's got his Loco all the way up to 6 already. That's pretty good. And here we are at the end of the turn. It's turn 6, the second to last turn of the game, and everyone else has their Locos up to 6. I'm stuck at 5, and I was hoping that I would be able to maintain my lead and continue to deliver 5-link deliveries for the rest of the game, to try to stave off all the links that everyone else has built and the extra delivery lengths they're going to manage to make because of their level 6 engines. That was the hope anyway. We're building now. Eric spent quite some time trying to figure out how to get that purple cube that he built to. Unfortunately, he built from the purple city instead of from the gray city, which would have probably given him the game. The last moves are largely full-length deliveries for everybody. Although Jonathan ended up stealing one of my red cubes, so I ended up with one 5-length delivery and one 4-length delivery, unfortunately, again. But still, it's a pretty tight game. And here we're coming up on the end of turn 6. Turn 7, the last turn of the game. And here we are building. Eric in green should have chosen first build to make sure he could connect to that purple city, but he chose first move instead. I had planned to urbanize that the whole time because I had wanted the extra link and the extra cubes, so I chose urbanize, do my build, and $1 short to be able to make the build that I actually wanted, to go through those stupid mountains. So instead I end up with 1 link short. I do manage to block Eric, so he'll be forced to use my 1 link there to make that purple delivery since he's a little cube shy. Here we are making those deliveries, and Eric helps orange out. Yay, 1 for the good guys. And I continue with my little 5 deliveries while we have a bunch of 6 deliveries happening everywhere else, except for Eric, of course, who's stuck helping me for 1. Oh, and in the build phase, finally, we had someone, Mo, choose the city growth action and use it to not place cubes, but rather to change the supply and demand colors. He changed it for that southern city, Southwick, which could have hurt me, but fortunately for him, I did have a backup cube, but it allowed him to change the demand colors for Gatwick to red and yellow instead of blue and yellow, which provided him with another 6-link delivery, which was nice. A little sad that it took us until the very last turn of the game to finally see that action being used, but there you go. And after all said and done, we end up here at the end of the game where we add points for income. Eric, of course, was the only one who earned points for that. Now we're adding track points. Eric edges me out by 1 with all those track builds. And then Jonathan edges him out by 1 by even more track builds. And Mo ends up just 1 short. The rest of us. All in all, a very close game with a 1-point gap between each of us. Very well played. Nicely done, guys. And a big congratulations to Jonathan for another win.